Okay, good morning.
Okay, morning. Okay, we're in the middle of Hilchos Oil. We are up to Sif Vav Sif Hey. Kisei also prokim. It's made with pieces of kasherot leishav elav poischid oisai for or niftach. It's a folding chair, betzim. You have a folding chair and you unfold it and you sit. Right, the charetz and oil. However, kishibisim or nichpal, and then when you close it up, it closes up. Mutter lepaschai lechachila. That is mutter lechachila to use folding chairs because it's made to open, and it's as if it's just moisif oil. It's not making an oil lechachila. So to anything that has you have a fold up shelf or anything like that, you can take down because that's already. First of all, there's no mechitz. Besides that, there's no mechitzas, which is stamakula. But besides that, anything which is set up to fold and unfold, is already considered is made of oil. It's not, you're not making any oil on Shabbos. When you're stacking barrels or things like that, one on top of each other, you shouldn't do bottom and then top, because what happens is you put two barrels and then you put a third one on top in the middle, and there's a space in between, because they say you need the air, so you need a bit of space between each barrel so the air circulates. So then you end up having an oil. So what you have to do is you hold the top one and you put the other two underneath. Because that would be oil. Like we're going to get into a bit more, is the idea of with oil is that you need to have that one of the things that you need to have is the usage under. There has to have a use under an oil. The point of an oil is that for the person to sit underneath. Or the Mishkan, they were part of the oil. It was, the kalim were underneath. It's to go ahead and to have a usage underneath. I asked yesterday about legs. Legs is not a use. It's not a use. It's just it's just an easier thing to do. It makes it easier. That's not a usage. You're not storing anything there. You don't need air for a specific purpose. You just need space for your legs. It's a little bit different. That's not called a usage. Mutter laniach sefer echad mikav al gabeh. You can take a couple of svarim and make a pyramid out of it. And this is the nakuda that you don't need the over underneath. There's no reason you're not storing anything underneath the sefer. So anything you're stacking up and you don't care about the space underneath it's mutter to do that. Kol oil meshupa she'en begagol tefach. Any.
So would you do that and so a kid could run his truck under it?
If you make a bridge, that would be a problem. Yeah, make a bridge. Kol oil meshupa, slanted, angled oil she'en begagol tefach. Right. So if that doesn't, but you have let's say you have a stick. And you go ahead and you pour oil over it, and there's no tefach on the top. And it's not wide enough that if you go ahead and because of lavud that within 3 tefachim of the top it hits tefach, meaning in there because the whole top piece of 3 tefachim is considered one thing because of lavud, which would mean that it have to be pretty. It would have to be a pretty sharp angle for it not to do that. Anything which is a bit angled, you're going to hit 3 tefachim to 1 tefach is hard. It's pretty easy. It has to be a very close to vertical hanging thing. Areza ol arai, but it's still a problem of ol arai. But it's still also to do that l'chachila, even if there's no tefach, because that is because outside an oil is a flat top. Anything which is slanted is considered ol arai, because that's not made. That's usually not. That's not made for proper oil. what is discussed, what Be'er Lacha discusses, about umbrellas. It's really to Nobi Shitas Nobi Yehuda that an umbrella is an oil, because the point of the umbrella is to shade you from sun, from rain, and one of the karim of oil is shade. So the Farshim bring down, the Orach Chaim speaks explains that, first of all we have oil, we have the point that you have bechitzas, and then you need space, you need usage underneath. However, this shita holds it. One of the ikarim is for oil is that it's shading you. That's the whole point. So generally, you have to have mechitzas to shade, in order to support it. But if by an umbrella, if you have an umbrella, so then even without mechitzas, that would be also. Mishabura is mashma that it's also, but it's not he's not so strong with it. Orach Chaim says it's mamish. Isser oil, he understands that even though it's a mechitzah, so this is ikar oil to shade yourself. And he also, the Orach Chaim also says that it's meshupa, and it's also a tefach, it's going to be a tefach within 3 tvachim, is also the same type of idea. That's just, all the place can go back to a little bit about in Shin Aleph, about the hat. And they ask about the hat, and they point out when they say oil meshupa is that if it's a hat that if it's a straight hat which goes out of tefach and you're for kavod, that's over there, that's all those things over there. Klape din oil. If it's slanted, it says over one of the heterim is that it's slanted. So therefore, if it's slanted, then it's not considered. That's first of all, it's an ol arai. And these slanted oils are all right. In this case, since it's not really an oil, even though Orach Chaim says that a hat might be a shayla, just the same thing as an umbrella, if you use it for sun and everything like that. I don't know if the other place gives machmer as he is. So therefore, this is the idea that if you're using something for shade, yesh lodim b'zeh that whether it's only a Rabbanah, it's a deraisa, and v'chulei. Mishmer shetoli oisa lasis bashmarim the sanaram moitrim pia b'kol tzad. Let's say you go ahead and you have a bowl and you put like a filter, a sieve or whatever, and you put it porous it on top of a bowl or a clear whatever. Choshev asiyas oil, but also in taisa, that is called an asiyas oil. Oil is not just anytime you have a tefach. And even if it's over a kli, and obviously you need the space underneath, it's still called an oil. Obviously we don't by a pot lid, we don't say that unless it's like sticking out. But if it fits the pot, then that's not oil, that's part of the pot. If it doesn't really fit the pot, and it's just you're putting something else on top, then, I'm not sure if you put foil on top, would that be I don't know. I'm not sure foil. I don't know if it's considered oil over here. But I'm not sure. But that's the head by pot lids, is that it's part of the pot. Talis kfula shahayoleh chutin shahayis tluya vehener. Let's say you go ahead and you go ahead and you fold the talis over a string or something like that, and you're removing it by pulling the strings on the talis. You're opening and closing it. Mutter lintaisa, mutter lefarka, you can hang it over, or you can mutter lefarka v'chein apareiches. And Mishabura points out that we're not talking about you're allowed to. It's hung up before Shabbos. The question is, are you allowed to open it and close it with the strings? As long as you were using the strings before Shabbos, that's okay. That's meisif oil, and there are also to any pareiches. That we had the case of before about mechitzas. But also be if it's hanging, you're allowed to open it and close it, drapes, things like that. There's no problem with moistif binyan or anything like that. If like by drapes, if everything is ready from before Shabbos, it's made to do that. Kilas chasanim she'ein megaga tefach. Kilas chasanim is also is over a bed. They put some sort of canopy bed. Well, yeah, obviously, right. Obviously, if it's a straight canopy bed and you hang up the top of 4 posters and everything like that, that's straight oil. However, this is a case where you put like a temporary thing to go over the sides of the bed. So if it's slanted and there's no tefach, and it just let's say it's very tall and it goes down like this. You can go ahead and spread it out, or put it back. And that, it can't be that it hangs over, a tefach above the bed. It's a little bit unclear what it means over here. It can't be right. So it can't be that it's hanging above. It has to be that it hits the floor. But if it's hanging above a tefach, so again, that's under the part where it's angled. I think it's the way Mishabura understands it. The part where there's where it's angled, so that part with lavud and everything like that will be considered tefach over the bed, because 3 tefachim with 1 tefach would be considered an oil. And even if you intend for it to be an oil, since you're doing something to cover something else, even if it's an unintentional oil, it's considered an oil. If you're hanging up pareiches, you have to be sure that when you hang it up, that you don't make an oil when you're hanging it up. Then therefore, when if it's a very big pareiches, because he's going to go ahead and fold it over. When he folds it over, it's going to get a tefach. Some ask, what's the big deal? We're not talking about, you're not making an oil, you're just, you're putting something over. So, it's like a misasek, I don't know, whatever. So, Shulchan answers that since you're being oisik and doing some sort of mechitza, some maisa of binyan, some maisa, so therefore, if you happen to go ahead and make an oil on top, so that would be an oil arai, and therefore would be aser. If you start doing something else, then you have to worry about it. But if you're trying to do something like a pareiches or whatever, so then you have to be careful of making a tefach an oil. Gag. If it's some sort of kila is like it's a beam which is on top of something. You can't. It's like a tent, some sort of tent that has a gag. You can't pull over it. You can't put it out even though it's slanted, because even if it hits the ground, there's not a chance that one time it'll blow up, and then you'll go ahead and end up having an oil arai, which again, we're very machmir when it comes to oil arai, and therefore even if it's unintentional, it's ulcer. It's derabanan, but it's still ulcer. Beged sheshoitchim al pi achavis l'chasos. If you put a beged on top, don't go ahead and cover the whole pot, because that would be an oil. Again, keep a little bit open. Who had in the foil? That's only if between the food and the lid is or the cover you're putting on is less than a tefach. It's a tefach there. But in chaser tefach, you have a full pot. Motor the ein kan oil. Obviously, there's a space for there to be an oil. But the Shavur brings that the Ravid and the Rashba both say that covering kalim is no such thing. That's not called an oil. That's just not an oil. Even if there's more than a tefach, The Shabbat says you should try to be makbar like the mechaber, but yesh amei lismoich, that even if you're covering a kli, or let's say you're covering a pan with foil, things like that, covering a pot with foil, that it could be you should still be chayshish to go ahead and leave it a little bit open if there's a tefach of space, but yesh amei lismoich if you don't do that. Shintes Zayin, start Hilchos Tzeda. The thing about Tzeda is the Malacha D'Oraisa. Lamatas Malachos. Tzeda is you're trapping an animal to the point that it's something which is normally trapped and that the animal can't run away. It's called Chosed Tzeda, and it's even Tzeda is even also, even a gram Tzeda is also. So let's see, let's start. If you go ahead and a bird goes into a cage or something like that, or let's say you have a pet bird and it flies into its cage, then the Shar Tziporim it's Tzvila Bayis, Lebeibar Shem Nitzodim Bo Chayiv. Right? So if you go ahead and you close the cage, it's Tzeda, it's Ulcer. Or any other bird flies into your house, the house will get to because you can't catch it in the house. But if you have a deer that runs into your house, right? So then, before your wife and all your kids start, they run out. After they run out, they close the door. It's a problem. Or if you have, fish in a baybar, obviously if you have fish in your house and you catch it with a net, something like that, that would be chayav. But if it's in a case where that's not called nitzud, meaning pater of ulcer, then that would be pater of ulcer. However, that therefore closing the door, even if you're not going to be able to catch this, let's say a cat runs into your house, you close the door, you know where you can catch it. So then, so it would be a Nisad Rabbanim to close the door. However, Shemir Chayotim says, the Macham Tsar, it's freezing cold outside. You need to, and you're closing the door because it's cold, not because you're trying to trap it so it doesn't go out. So, it doesn't go out. That's not, that's a situation to Rabbanon. However, anything which is Shaykh, Tzeda for, he said of a shar chayav of the shaykh tzeda deraisa. Anything which this is only for something small, but anything which is big, which like a bird or something, but anything which is mamish big and it's mamish, that's called tzeda. It goes into a room and you close. The cat goes into a room. You close the door so it doesn't get out. Then that would be a problem. Also, it's only things which are derech. Litzavo. So for, we're going to get into things with flies and things. Let's say you have a moth or a fly or something like that, and it's in the, your daughters are screaming, you have a cockroach, something like that, so you close the bathroom door so it stays in the bathroom, so that would be, that's not Litzad Deraisa because it's not something which is there called Nitzavo. It's also hard to catch, so you have a couple kulas with that. But otherwise it'd be an issue. Atzad tzvi yoshin or suma chayiv. If a tzvi is sleeping and you catch it, then even still you're chayiv. Chigar achoyla zakein pater. Because sleeping or suma, it still can go ahead when you start trying to get to it. It can still chop and it can still feel that you're coming, and therefore it can quickly get up and run away. So therefore, that's still called tzeda. Tzeda is you're actively catching it. But something is, if the animal is sick, it's not tired but sick, or it's old or can't really move, so your tzeda is done. It's called nitzud v'omed. It's already, it's easy to catch. It can't move anyway. So what's the big deal? So that's considered that you're pater for it, but it's still usher. That it's still usher to move it. Right. Mashasa kelev Achar Chaya b'Shabbos, if you go ahead and loose your dogs after a Chaya on Shabbos Havit Tzeda, that's called Tzeda. That's how the Orach Chaim says it's a total of Tzeda, because you're not actually catching it yourself, but you're being gorim, the dog to catch it. He calls it could be a total of Tzeda. The Mishnah Berurah says that it's only D'Rabbanan. And that also if the dogs chase it, they don't necessarily catch it, but they chase it till it gets exhausted, and therefore you can go ahead and you can catch it after. It's also it's a type of tzeda, and it's also and some say that if you're hunting for sport with dogs, hunting for sport is considered Moshav Leitzim, which we had before in Shinta Zayin, is something where there's no tachlis to it. You're just having, I'm not going to say the words having fun, but just having fun for having fun is Moshav Leitzim. If you need I pointed out my share at night, if it's something you need to relax, I don't know, different things that, different cheshbonos, if there's a cheshbon to it, it's fine. Usually hunting animals, so there are certain things which are beyond the thing saying, listen, I needed to relax. Going out hunting with your dogs, whatever, that's not a Yiddish thing, and that's called real Moshav Leitzim. Kosher, Nitzel Chayev, I love any animal which is B'derech Klal Nitzel, you're Chayev. Aim B'mino Nitzel, Pater of Aser, if it's not B'derech Klal to catch it, then that's Pater of Aser. Even, like I said, bugs, cockroaches, things like that. I mean, I don't know. I know it's Derech Klal to Nitzel because you usually want to get it out of the house, but it's not, it's not dafka. It's something you're not catching it because you want it. You're catching, Hilchach Zvuvim, Alavi She'ein, B'mina Nitzel, also L'tzuda, and still also to catch them, because that is, it's also D'Rabbanan. Hagav L'chein Yishizor Shel Yizgor Teva Ktana, Listam Kelim, if you have, let's say, flies in your garbage, and you close the lid, then that would be a problem. Because they're going to be trapped there. Some say that if you open the thing, it's big enough, and you try to stick your hand to get in there, you won't be able to catch them. Then that will be mutter. The Taz says, the Shaila is, do you need to go ahead, the famous Taz, and there's a Egger on this, whatever, do you have to check, if you close a box, or you close your garbage, do you need to check for flies? And he says, you don't have to, if you saw flies there, obviously you don't have to check everything in the world, but if you saw flies there and you push them away, then, that you don't have to be choshish for anymore, because it's a suffix psik reisha and a milsa d'Rabbanan, and that's a general klal, a suffix psik reisha, that you don't know if there's anything there, you don't think there's anything there, and it's a din d'Rabbanan, because it's not nitzol, so that's that way you don't have to be samachmer, you don't have to be mekel. I always wondered if you go ahead and let's say you sweep up ants from the floor, if you dump them in the garbage, that wouldn't be tzad, because for them, they're so small that they can't, even if you look at it, you can't really, not going to be able to really catch it inside the garbage. That wouldn't be, they have time to walk around and everything like that. There wouldn't be tzeda. If you have a full kli also, if there's bugs in it and stuff, whatever, obviously a cup with a bee or something like that it's clearly tzeda. A bee might even be more because it's there lots of bees because people put it in beehives. But I don't know the house and thing. I don't know if it's exactly. But upon him, that would be that's the Isser of Tzeda. We'll continue.